Hey guys, so today has been a very good day. If you want to see the things that I bought, you can go to my fashion channel because I'm really excited about the things that I bought. I bought shoes and stuff. So yeah, you're probably like, what stuff? It's just bows, hair bows, but I'm really excited because of course I love shopping. Let me adjust my camera. It's really late. It's almost 2 a.m. and yeah. But, oh, sorry. Wow, I promise. Well, I only had a makgeolli and not a lot, so this is just me naturally, really. Today I'm gonna talk about marriage. No, I'm not engaged. I'm sorry, girls. I know you're like, yeah, that would be kind of weird. It's like, I'm not even dating anyone and I'm already like engaged. Imagine. Okay, so I'm going to talk about parents, Korean parents, and foreigners and marriage. So this is pretty much my experience. So I'm not saying that you can come to Korea and have the exact same experience as I have, but I'm going by my experience. So that's my disclaimer, and this is my experience. So I'm just going to share it with you guys, and then later I'll have an update because this is just my experience so far. So you guys remember like my kimbap story about how the boy's mom and dad like were trying to like get their son to talk to me, and well, that was like my first experience of having a family like push their son to me. And I was kind of like, oh, like, so do they not mind like me dating their son? So that was my first experience of like having some type of okayness with a son, even possibly seeing a foreigner, and not only a foreigner but a black foreigner, because I know that like many families, Korean families, like we like they want their children to marry Koreans, and there's like a level. So like if they don't marry Korean, they want another Asian. If it's not another Asian, then a white person, and usually that's where it stops. You think, but so that's been my experience with that, and then also I have had 3 experiences so far. So that was one. My number 2 is when I think I had first met Minji. Yeah, I had first met Minji's mom, and it was that time that she made me that whole meal. That night, like we were talking and just chit-chatting, and Minji's mom found out that I like Korean guys and Asian men, and that I'm like really attracted to them, and Minji goes, no, Minji's mom goes, oh, maybe you'll marry one. And then I was like, oh, well, if I fall in love with a Korean guy, of course, like, I would love to get married if he ends up being a Korean man. And if he ends up being whatever else, if I'm in love, like, of course, like, I'd love to marry him. And Minji's like, yeah, but she's, like, really crazy about Korean guys. And her mom's like, oh, maybe you'll marry one. And then Minji's mom goes, and she points to her son. That was like a really like on the spot kind of thing. Like she points to her son, and I'm like, oh my god. So that's another like. I'm not saying this is like a big deal that they're like having some type of like what do you call that? Arranged marriage with me or anything like that. I'm just saying this is like parents, even if it's like a joke, or even if it's just like, oh, you guys should be friends, or whatever it might be. This is the first time. This is the first time. I don't know what I'm saying. Oh my gosh. Okay, these are my experiences with parents actually telling me, like, oh, my son. And it's kind of like they're saying, like, oh, you kind of have my okay. So that was my second experience. And my third experience was actually tonight. So I was hanging out with Minji and her mom and her mom's friends, and they're older adults, and we were at her coffee shop, and many of them I had met already. And so we went out to eat dinner at like midnight, or maybe it was like 11. And we actually just got back. And so we're just sitting there having a good time, and Minji and I, we're all discussing like how I love Korea, and the man, he goes like, we're speaking, like I'm starting to speak Korean to him, and he's like, oh, and there's another lady there, and she's like, oh, your pronunciation is very good, and I'm like, oh, thank you, and I go, 한국말 너무 좋아요, which means like I really love the Korean language, or I really like the Korean language. And they're like, wow, your pronunciation is really good, and I'm like, oh, thank you, and which I don't think it's all that great, you know, but I mean, I try. So Minji like brings up like, oh, she really loves Korea and the language, and she likes Korean men, and she's like telling them about how like Spa Boy, she's telling them how like I'm trying to introduce her to my friends, my guy friends that I think she might like, because if she likes them and they end up being a couple, then she will probably stay longer. Minji like really wants me to stay. She's like on it. She does not want me to leave. But I don't think she realizes that even if I didn't meet a guy, like I could stay if I wanted to. You know, like I don't have to stay just because I have a guy, you know, like I'd stay just because I love Korea. And I love the language, and I love the culture, and like learning about other people, and blah blah. I could go on for days, but she doesn't. I guess she doesn't realize it, or she just has more of an incentive, like, to find a guy for me because she really wants me to stay. So she's telling them how like, oh, she met Spa Boy. She didn't call him Spa Boy because she doesn't know he's called. Well, actually, she watched the video and she was laughing. Okay, anyway, she was telling about Spa Boy and how like, oh, she likes him, and the thing is he's leaving next month to Australia for 8 months. Very sad. And I told him don't leave. Oh, by the way, let me quickly interrupt because I'm on a tangent, and I'm just going to stay on the tangent and then I'll go back. Okay, so today I was at Minji's coffee shop, and Spa Boy was supposed to come meet us there and hang out, but he ended up being in my town while we were in his town at Minji's coffee shop. He lives near Minji, so we were like switched, like in each other's towns, so he ended up not being able to come, and he told Minji like, oh, I'm gonna contact her sometime, and so I was like, oh, I wonder when he's gonna contact me, like, you know, maybe like in a couple of days. Like, no, he contacted me like maybe 2 hours later. He texted me, he's like, what are you doing, are you sleeping? And I was like, no. Okay, that's not even like the point, but the point is that he said that maybe next week he will be in my town and he will call me when he's here. Woo woo. Okay, anyway, we'll celebrate later. But yeah, I'm really excited because he is like, oh, yeah, I want to hang out. So, high five. What else? Where was I going? Okay, Spa Boy. Oh yeah, conversation. Also, there was something else. Oh, he asked me if I had a Facebook. So, he's going to add me. But not on my Charlie Cheer channel, so you guys aren't going to be able to see anything. Okay, so back to the story. Okay, so she was explaining to him about Spa Boy and how, oh, like, I like him, I think he's cute and sweet and blah, blah. And she's told me, like he's a sweet boy and blah, blah. She knows him very well. And I trust her judgment, you know. So she was like, oh, like Charlie is like sad that he's leaving, And Minji told me, like, while we were all eating, she's like, you know what? No, because I told her, I don't want him to leave. What if he meets a girl there? And then she goes, no, like, you're going to meet a guy here. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I could meet a guy here, like, while he's gone. And so she's like, it's probably not going to happen that he's going to meet a girl. It's more likely that you're going to meet a guy while he's gone and you're going to forget about him. And so, yeah, it was pretty funny. And I was like, you know what? That's okay then. But, what happened? Oh my gosh. I promise, I'm not drunk. I promise. Promise. So, so she was telling him, like, oh, like, today I mentioned to Minji that, I would love to open a shop, like, clothing store, because I love the store, shoot, I have, like, the worst, Cinderella. I love the store Cinderella, which is on my other page. I did a tour of it, and it's like vintage mixed with a little bit of like recent like type style, and it's just so, I love it, and I would love to open a little shop here. And so Minji was telling the man, like, oh, like, since she's not a citizen, she can't really own a place, you know, because you can't own a place unless you're like a citizen, like, however you like fill out whatever, it takes a while, or you get married. And so she's like, so she needs to get married. And I'm like, look, I'm not gonna marry some guy just so I can own a place, you know. But like, but it was really funny because she's explaining to this man who I've met before about how like she needs to get me a man or whatever, like her plan to like keep me here. And he goes, oh, I have a son. And I'm like, oh. And then Minji goes, oh, he's cute too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Minji, where have you been, like, this whole time? And, like, he's like, yeah, I have a son. And he's like, I don't know if he has a girlfriend. He doesn't even know if his own son has a girlfriend. His son is, like, 30, I think. But, yeah, and he's like, oh, I have a son. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so then we, like, we're cheering? How do you say it? Cheers? We're cheersing. So we're cheersing, and we were drinking our makgeolli, and before this, they asked me, like, what are we cheersing to? And I go, to life. This was, like, before the whole conversation, like, when we first sat down. I'm like, to life. And so this time, they're like, what are we cheersing to? I go, to his son. And he goes, oh. It's really funny. So yeah, so he's offering up his son for me. So yeah, it's pretty funny because he was actually really serious too. So that is, this is like a cool blog, right? Like, I feel like I'm pouring my heart out. So that has been my experience with parents and their sons. So just, many people will probably be like, oh, that's not true, they won't let you marry, but I'm just telling you my experience and what I've been going through. So, and if I'm looking up like that, it's because I have a mirror. It's a pretty heart shape, and this is going to be a long video once again. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? I talk way too much. Okay, yeah, so that's been my experience with parents and their sons, and trying to get me with their sons. So, and then he goes, the father, he goes, why are you so cute? Or why are you so pretty? And I go, because my mom is pretty. And they all go, oh, yeah. So, Mom, you're pretty. Okay, anyway, I'm going to stop talking. Okay, yeah. I don't know what I'm singing.